I know this is not a time I go live normally, but hello, how are you doing? Hope you're doing good. I am Dalkori Jonah reporting live from London, and this is just a question and answer session. So basically, we've been doing this series called Stock to Finish, and it's designed to personally help people grow. Now, I've been working with people for a while now, since 2014, 2015, and helping them set goals, helping them giving them accountability, helping them accomplish what they should accomplish. And in that period, I have also been growing. So let's just say I've been doing this for 9 years. And in that time, I've had a situation where goal setting workshops are not enough. I've done series on how to set goals in 2016 at Reconcilers Radio. I've done quite a lot of work behind the scenes, reading books. I think 80% of my books are on productivity. The podcasts I listen to are on productivity. My podcast is a productivity podcast. I know I've taken a break for a month from the podcast because of this series that I'm running. However, one thing I've noticed is that people are motivated. People want to get things done. They actually want to stop procrastinating. They actually want to be more intentional and detailed about the way they get things done. But there are certain things that prevent them from functioning the way they should. And that's what we're addressing with this quadrant and whatever we've been doing. The aim is simply to transform the way you see yourself, ensure you are giving yourself the opportunity to attain new heights, equipping you with what you need to improve your capacity to get things done. I'll repeat that. Ensuring that you improve your capacity to get things done, because the capacity to get things done is in you. What you just need to do is improve it. And we understand that how to work can be learned. Let me tell a little bit story. I did almost come on live today. Usually, I schedule my live the day before to ensure that I actually get up and do it. But today, being the 13th day, I struggled because I had other commitments, I had other things to do, and I had like a crash, where we call in the flare out period, where your system just says, "No, I'm not doing it again." But I made a commitment and I decided to keep my commitment to my commitment before midnight. And I said, even if it's just 5 minutes, I'm going to come live, have this conversation, and kind of make it a Q&A session. So the first question I would answer is my question: what do you do when you don't feel like doing it? Sometimes I will say rest. I will say be flexible. I will say it depends on the context. It depends on you. It depends on what's happening around you. But most importantly, it depends on you. I don't think we should define ourselves by our ability to complete things. We should define ourselves by what we can do or what we can't do. We shouldn't define ourselves based on our work, but our work ethics do help us. So I'll say if you are struggling, it's all right to struggle. Admit it first. I'm struggling. I said I struggled today to show up live. And eventually I did. And it's not scheduled. It's not something I even told anybody. It's just Emma I told because she called me when I was about to go live. And I said, "Oh, guess what? I'm going to do a question and answer session and I'm going live." And I'll be transparent. I'll be vulnerable. I'll be very, very intentional. And the reason I'm doing this, being transparent, showing you, is because I'm telling you the truth. Getting things done and improving your capacity to get things done takes work. It's simple but not easy. Why is it that the simplest things are the most difficult for us to do? Because sometimes when we're told to run a marathon, we want to run the marathon in one day. We're not willing to do what it takes to build our capacity, build your competence, and improve the way you get things done. And that's what this series has been for me. It's to propel you to the front, and the front of your own lane, not anyone else's lane. It's to ensure that you, as an individual, know what you want and go for it. So it's not just about looking for shortcuts. It's not just about navigating life and just getting to the end of the journey and realizing that, oh, this is not actually what I want. But it starts with you as an individual, seeing yourself as an individual that has the capacity to win. Everyone has the capacity to win. I didn't do a mic check today, but I'll just say this. Every single person has what it takes to excel. No exceptions. Every single person, including you listening to this late recording. Because Sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves. We want to be perfect. We've talked about perfectionism and we've realized that perfectionism doesn't help. Nothing helps us as much as us being honest and vulnerable with ourselves. And in our vulnerability, we find growth. In our transparency, we find growth. The only way to grow is to let go. I was listening to Abdul today or someone, I can't remember his name, and he talked about the fact that a gentleman went to this monk to learn something. And when he got there, he had preconceived conceptions. He had already made up his mind on certain things, and he came there determined to challenge. And when he got there, the monk offered him tea and just kept pouring the cup. And the cup overflowed and he was upset. He said, "What do you mean by this? Why would you do such a thing?" And his response was simple, that once a cup is filled, you can't get anything in. That's what I'm trying to tell you today. Once you come on any of these sessions or listen to the recordings back, and you've already made up your mind that I would not succeed in my goals, I cannot do what it takes. The truth is, that will happen to you. So listen to these conversations that we're having, that we're going to have for the next 17 days. Listen to these conversations with an open heart, with an open mind, with a mind that is determined to grow, with a mind that is determined to be the best version of yourself. It's not just about gathering degrees and things. Every individual has the capacity to grow. Every individual has gifts, talents that are untapped. And the way to untap them is to open your mind, open your heart, give yourself the opportunity to win. I think it's for me, it's what I'm passionate about is this. I want to position people to win. I want to give you all it takes to leverage your skills and ideas. Every year I think of a word and I use that word consistently. And my word for this year is leverage. And I said I want to leverage all my skills, ideas, connections, and opportunities. And one of my skills I have is podcasting and talking. And that's why I'm doing this session this evening. So basically it's a Q&A session. It's a vulnerable session. It's a transparent session about productivity, getting things done, how to get unstuck, and how to finish what you've started. We identified a couple of things. The desire to do things is there. You are excited when you set a new goal. By January 1st, you're already excited. You want to get things done. But then you start doing it and realize that all of a sudden you miss one day, you're not making progress. I almost missed today's one, like I said, and I would have gotten stuck. But I said, you know what, I need to practice what I preach and show up, even if it's for a couple of minutes. And we've gone past 5 minutes, so I'm excited about that. The plan was to say 5 minutes, but we may stay longer. Now, what about you? What is that thing that you wanted to achieve for a while? What is that thing that you need to do? So, we have an event coming up called the Reset, and the Reset is simply an event that helps you to pause, reflect, and reset where you are going. So, it's not just about moving forward. Sometimes the reason we are not making progress is that we've not had time to stop. We have not had time to pause. And when we stop, we don't move forward. But pausing and hitting the pause button and saying, you know what, let me evaluate what has gone on in my life. Let me evaluate the past 6 months. What did I say I wanted to do? What did I eventually do? Do I think about ways I can improve my learning, grow as an individual, grow as a person, grow in one way or the other? And when we sit down and slow down, it's not the end of the road. Slowing down doesn't mean stopping and not moving forward again. Slowing down makes you navigate properly because you understand where you are going better. You have clarity. You are able to simplify your journey. You're going on your own journey, not on every other person's journey. You have your roadmap. You've taken your rest. You've taken care of your body, your mental health, every single thing. 24/7, we're working, we're doing so much. And sometimes we don't realize that we're driving our minds and making ourselves so busy that we don't even have time to think. Are you so busy that you do not create time to think about what you've done? Are you so busy that you do not have time to evaluate your life? If an organization could have performance reviews, why can't you have a performance review for yourself? So, a quick question: if you are to review your performance for the year 2023, how would you say you've performed? Most people that start with goals don't end up accomplishing their goals. In fact, according to Forbes, 80% of people that set goals do not accomplish them. They get stuck. There are the 20% that do something, but what they have is simple, something simple. They have a personal productivity system, which is something I always talk about, and will be using my own personal productivity system on the 1st of July during our workshop. But this is all these sessions are kind of to prepare you. Hey, Bolu, Bolu, eh? I was about to call you. I almost didn't do this live. I just said I must do it. Thank you for listening. So, for those who are wondering why I'm saying hi, I'm doing a 30 days challenge. Today is day 13, and I am doing this session. I did not schedule it. I just said I was going to come live and do it. But as I was saying, personal evaluation. Why should you have a personal evaluation? Think about it. Why should you not sit down and reflect? We're busy being busy. Sometimes we're parenting, we're at work, we're bosses in the office, but in our personal lives, we're not even pausing to reflect. We neglect our growth, we neglect our capacity to even do anything because we've not had time to pause and hit the reset button. Emmanuel, you saved there. You've not had time to pause and hit the reset button. And this is what this series is about. And by July 1st, I hope all of you will be able to join me. July 1st, 2023, we're having the reset session. Even before Bolu, imagine Emmanuel got here before Bolu. Bolu, you need to step up your game. For those wondering where we're recording, we're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So everybody's wondering because I was meant to go live 9 p.m., but I just couldn't. So I said, you know what, better late than never. Done is better than perfect, and the next 17 days won't be done perfectly, but they will be done. And that's why I'm here today to just encourage you to do things. Don't do it perfectly. Look at me, I'm not sharing my face, I'm just sharing my screen. That's because I wanted to do this. Because if I have to start thinking, I'm a lady. If I have to start thinking about getting prepared and what to wear for 30 days, you get as it will be. But as we were saying, I think transparency with ourselves is important. Honesty with yourself is important. If you're giving yourself a report card for this year, even for this month, you realize that if your child gave you that report card, you will be upset. So, what are we going to do? We're going to sit down with ourselves and have deep conversations, honest conversations that would help us improve the way we get things done so that we're not stuck in a pattern of or a loop that keeps on going. Because sometimes we're stuck in this loop and we don't realize that days are turning into weeks, seconds are turning into minutes are turning into hours. Then you've got weeks, months, years, and you're wondering, where did the time fly? The time flew because you did not pause to reflect. And the world will not pause for you to do that time of reflection. Sometimes we're waiting for the perfect time. Oh, well, my goals, I'm not accomplishing my goals. Why am I not accomplishing my goals? And my answer is that it depends on the context. Sometimes you don't accomplish your goals because you don't have the skills and resources. Sometimes you don't accomplish your goals because you get in your way. Now, what do I mean by you get in your way when it comes to your goals? Some people want everything to be perfect, so they would rather not take any step than take a step, than take the wrong step. So they actually have a mindset that is fixed, that feels that because they failed in one thing, they will fail in this one. Sometimes it could be about the way they see themselves. They do not see themselves as having the capacity to get things done. So that's where we talk about limited mindset. We've talked about imposter syndrome. We've talked about different reasons people procrastinate and don't get things done. However, what we've not talked about is the active role we play as individuals in preventing ourselves from succeeding and growing. The greatest person or the greatest enemy you may be facing is you. The way you see yourself, the way you talk to yourself, the way you speak to yourself. Do you speak to yourself in a positive light at all, or do you only see what you cannot do? Do you see your ability to survive and do certain things, or are you stuck in the past and where it has not worked? The reason we look at the past when we are doing things is to ensure that we are making progress, to ensure that we are able to get things done, to ensure that we do not make the mistakes of the past. But when was the last time have you ever had a personal evaluation for yourself? Have you ever had an opportunity to sit with yourself and say, how am I doing? Not just how am I doing at work? Did I get a promotion at work? Not just that. Your career is not your life. There are other aspects of your life. The fact that you have seven figures a client is not your whole life. There are certain areas of your life that you're neglecting because you just don't want to fix it. So you keep putting a band-aid, you keep sweeping things under the carpet. That carpet will keep rising and one day your laptop will shatter. any table there will not be balanced. So we talk about balance. Balance is not just about having a capacity to be in different places at different times and being there for others. It's also about being there for yourself. So how are you going to ensure that you're there for yourself? How are you going to ensure that you show up when you need to show up? That's just what we are talking about. Sometimes it's taking a day off, like I did partially today. Sometimes it's showing up later, even if it's a couple of minutes. But show up for yourself first before you show up for others. Now, I've got a couple of questions that I want to answer. So, the first question is, what are some practical tips from shifting a mindset of stuck to one of progress and completion? And I think the very first one for me will be something that I have mentioned already. And it's just about the way you see yourself and the way you speak to yourself. I'm not saying those thoughts will not come. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that sometimes we fail before we start. Before we even try to accomplish anything, we have failed because we have said it in our minds that I cannot win. That's I think it was for those that are not Nigerian, you may not understand. There's someone that said, the only thing I can buy for my child is okrika. I cannot buy new clothes. People have a limited mindset, a mindset that is stuck already before they take the first step. So you're stuck in your past mistakes, you're stuck in the failures, you're stuck in every single thing that will prevent you from moving forward. And it starts in the mind. So it's about retraining your mind. Sometimes it's putting pen to paper and having things within your eyesight that are positive affirmations that you can speak to yourself. Sometimes it's talking to people, going for therapy, having a supportive network. But most importantly, it's about understanding that it starts 1 second at a time and it won't happen overnight. It's something that will take progress. Yeah, sometimes the switch comes and you can just go through it immediately. But it's about being patient with yourself. Yes, being patient with yourself. It's about understanding that progress and completion come 1 second at a time, one day at a time, just showing up, just telling yourself that despite what may happen, I would show up. Now, the second question is, how can I tap into my capacity to get things done and maximize my productivity? So, there are different ways you can tap into your capacity to get things done and maximize your productivity. And one way I will just talk about today is respecting time. Not just respecting your own time, but respecting other people's time. And with what I mean, if you work in a team and you want someone to help you do something, you put it on their calendar. Anything that is not on your calendar will not get done. So you're not just respecting your time, you're respecting other people's time. You're respecting the contributions that other people bring. Sometimes we don't realize that because we do things swiftly and fast, and that doesn't mean every other person has the same capacity that we have. So I say controlling your calendar starts with respecting time, and maximizing your productivity starts with respecting time, and understanding that productivity is not just fixed, that you say, oh, you must do this thing and then that's how it gets done. Yes, you should have routines, you should have rituals, you should have habits, you should have opportunities to sit down and reflect. You should get feedback from people. These are simple ways that you could maximize your productivity. But it starts in the mind, what you tell yourself about yourself. It starts with you making your commitments to yourself and keeping the commitment to your commitment. It also goes with you understanding that you don't have to be the okay, this is what I was saying. Understanding the simple concept that everything that you want to do takes time, and you don't have to figure it out before you start, but you just have to start. You may not start with a full plan, but start. And when you start, have time to pause and reflect, then you reset. And a reset should be done regularly. You can reset, do a minor reset weekly where you just sit down, reflect, and then say, okay, this is what worked, this is what did not work. Sometimes asking yourself those difficult questions. We don't ask ourselves questions about what we did that week. Or why did I do this way? Why did it work? Why didn't it work? What are the things I said I would do? What are the things that I did not do? What are the things that I did? What made it different this week? So that personal accountability, you should be accountable to yourself before you're accountable to others. Sometimes we want to be accountable to others, but we forget that accountability to ourselves is important. Wait, today is Tuesday. We're supposed to be having a meeting. I'm supposed to be in an accountability meeting with Bolu and Prince. Thank you for joining me, lady and gentlemen. I just remember I said accountability. I remember that they are my accountability partners. So it's fantastic to see them here. This is an authentic conversation, so there are no rules. If you have any question, you can ask your questions. But today is a Q&A section. So we've talked about the moving from fixed mindset to a completion mindset. We've talked about practical tips, how you can tap into your productivity. And now let's see. How can I navigate strategic incompetence and make more impactful decisions? Now, for those that were not here, we talked about the fact that on TikTok, everybody says that some men have this incompetence that they do as if they don't know what to do, but they actually know it. So they want you to not to ask them to do it. I don't know if that is right, but that's what we've been told. And I've forgotten the word. If I remember the word, but it's something incompetence. I've forgotten the way it's described on TikTok. Well, I said no, and John Eckhoff says this that you should have what is called strategic incompetence, and that is choosing what to suck at, choosing what not to be the best at, choosing where you will not try and be excellent. So he talks about the fact that when it comes to mowing his lawn, he doesn't do it, he outsources it. When it comes to certain things, he doesn't do it because it frees him up to do what's important. So what we are asking is be honest with yourself. What are the things that you need to do to survive daily in your life, in your business? List them out. What are the ones that you can decide that you don't need to be the best at? And strategic incompetence doesn't have to be a lifetime thing. It could be something that is temporal. So, for example, if you're working on a project, you say, okay, this period, I'm not going to do laundry. I'm not going to be the best in this. I will have somebody come clean my house that period because you're working. So you can navigate strategic incompetence and make more impactful decisions once you realize that it is not fixed. It is something that is based on context, based on the individuals involved, and based on your pocket. So if you choose to not be the best in certain areas and you believe that that's a weakness for you, then you have to collaborate. So I am not the best when it comes to copywriting like Tobichuku is. So I have to ask for his assistance and say, you know what, this is what I'm trying to say. Can you put it in a way that will be advertising friendly because he's the advert genius? That's where I go. So I've decided not to be strategically incompetent when it comes to running ads because I can work with somebody, I can outsource it, and the person understands my way of branding. Thank you. All right. So that comes. How can I effectively create a stop doing list to eliminate unproductive habits or tasks? So we talked about a to-do list and a stop doing list a couple of days ago. And a stop doing list is the things that the habits that you know that you have to stop. Be honest. Be very, very honest. What are the things that you know you should not be doing that you are doing? What are those habits that take your time? What are those things? But it all starts with keeping a calendar and reviewing that calendar, because when you review what you've done for the day, when you review what you've done for the week, you can see your time grabbers, you can see these things. So a stop doing list is a list that you should create, and it also depends on context, it also depends on the individuals involved, it also depends on you and your ability to commit to your commitment. So yes, a stop doing list is good, and it's important that we all have one, but it starts with keeping control of your calendar, reviewing it regularly. So, for context, I have a daily, weekly, and monthly routine. My daily routine is to go over what I wanted to do that day and see if I did it, and if I didn't do it, why I didn't do it, and then make adjustments and plan for the next day the night before. So I wake up in the morning knowing exactly what I am doing. That's an healthy habit and a healthy routine and ritual. Now, not doing that is in my stop doing list. So the fact that I will not be watching TV at night, when it gets to a certain time, I will shut down. It's my stop doing this because I know my brain. My brain is very hyperactive. I am hypervigilant. I understand the ADHD brain and how it works. So I have to work for who I am and not against who I am. So my stop doing list will be different from yours, but it's good to have one. Have a stop doing list. How can I manage and prevent burnout while maintaining peak performance? It all comes down to the same thing: understanding yourself, understanding your body, scheduling breaks. Yes, schedule those breaks. Breaks should be on your calendar. The way to avoid burnout is to schedule rest. Creativity and productivity work best with a rested body. Understanding that yes, not to be peak up in peak performance, you have to take care of the machinery, your body. If you use a computer for 2 years without shutting it down, it's going to get bad. If you use it consistently 24 hours non-stop, it's running, you're working, that machine will have faults. So how much more the human body? So to avoid burnout, first of all, it starts with taking care of your body. It starts with what you eat. It starts with your priorities. It starts with you doing these little things that can help you be the best version of yourself. So start small but be consistent. Have a healthy routine that includes fitness and nutrition. Food and nutrition. What strategies can I implement to overcome procrastination and stay focused on my priorities? I think the strategies could be different. Context matters, number one. Procrastination, understanding why you're procrastinating, understanding why you don't want to do what you need to do today, why you want to move it till tomorrow. Putting things on your calendar helps you stop procrastination. Understanding why certain things are important and why they are not. Understanding that all work does not require the same attention, and that in order to do deep work you need to create time to create. So it's about creating time for these activities. And I started doing something where I have an external alarm clock that actually goes off, that I have to switch off. So it's not just a reminder on my phone. So I have to start putting things, cues, things around me that will ensure that I remember that I am supposed to do something. Because I realized that it's not just about writing it down. Writing it down won't change it. If you don't execute, you would not execute. You could have the prettiest planner, have the best apps, but when you want to stay focused on your priorities, you have to understand why your priorities are your priorities. You have to understand that it's about your attitude to work. You shouldn't see work as a chore. You should see it as something that is adding value to you. You should also understand that you need to list your priorities, know what's important. Why is it important to you? So there are different ways you could stop procrastination, but time management, respecting time. I've talked about respecting time more than time management, because if you respect something, you will acknowledge it, you will accept it, you will cherish it, and you will respect it, and you will manage it properly. So that's why we talk about respecting time, not just time management. And that's the last question for today. I think we've come to the end of today's impromptu session, but thank you all for joining me today. It's been a wonderful day. It was really stressful, but I'm glad that I eventually made my commitment and kept my commitment of doing this thing for 30 days. Day 13 complete. DK signing out. Thank you, Bolu and Prince Aldo, for showing up for me today. I wasn't expecting anybody to show up because I was like, I'm just going to come in and get out quickly to just say I did it. But I'm glad I did it. Thank you all for joining me today. I think tomorrow we'll have a different conversation and we're going to go into goal setting. But just as a reminder, I have an event coming up. You can join the waiting list. It's called the Reset, and it's about um resetting and planning for the remaining half of the year. That's what it is. Let's actually sit down, pause, look at what went in the first 6 years, 6 months, and what's going to happen. So join me for that event. I'll say join the waiting list. It's going to be on the steadfastcreative.com. Oh, I forgot that if I type here, it doesn't go to all of you. So I'll just type into myself. But it's going to be on the steadfastcreative.com. That's the website you can join the waiting list. And once we go live by Friday, you would have a limited time to grab your tickets. We're making it limited time, we're making it fast paced, but we want a situation where you can go into the rest of the year prepared to win. I think for me, the reset is about helping you improve your capacity to get things done and to focus on what's important. The reset is just an amazing opportunity for you to clarify, simplify, and amplify your voice in your own little way. But thank you all, and I'll see you tomorrow. I think tomorrow we have it at 9 p.m. I'm not sure if I want to do the AM or PM, so I will let the team vote. But I'll see you tomorrow, either 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. Cheers. Bye.